Taking the bus is never any fun. But, all right, well, welcome to the Strange Universe panel. My name's Sean Morton. How are you? Hey, welcome, Waco, welcome. Nice to have you. And thank you for that. Let me see, what interesting has been going on. Some very interesting preparations are being made, I think, all around the country in California. The day that I left California, which was on Thursday, we had the largest earthquake drill, which I thought was interesting in California history. It was called the Big Shake, and at 10:15 they tested phone systems, they tested emergency systems. It's very strange. It was also kind of unusual. I live, just to tell you what's going on the left coast out there, I live pretty much right on the beach in Hermosa Beach, which is my sort of fun little hometown. And about a month ago, right on my street along Hermosa Avenue, which then actually runs along the beach, they put up tsunami evacuation route signs. Now, we've never had a tsunami in California, which I think is interesting, but along all the city actually put these up. All along the post, it actually said tsunami evacuation route along PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, and then along Hermosa Beach. Now, what I think is weird about that is they put up the tsunami evacuation route sign, and I'm not even kidding. It's right out my front window because I live on a corner, and they put it up on the lamppost. So I'm looking out my window, actually watching them with the cherry picker truck putting these signs up, and then I think it's very unusual because then about a month later, after they put the signs up, which was just about a week or so ago, I have this convulsion, if you will. I'm standing in my kitchen, and suddenly I just get this vertigo where it feels like somebody's just like sucking all the brains out the right side of my head, and I start spinning, and it almost felt as if my head. And the only reason I relate this is because other people may have actually felt this. It almost felt as if my head separated, like one side dropped and then shifted and separated, and I spun around and had this weird ringing in the right ear, and my wife is saying, "Oh my goodness! I mean, something major must go on." It was one of those. I feel a tremor in the force, as if 1,000 souls had cried out all at once and went dark, and one of those Star Wars kind of moments. And so I'm laying on the floor of the kitchen, thinking something weird's going to happen. And the next day was actually the quake in Samoa, and the 8.0 quake in Samoa, and for the first time, a tsunami warning in Southern California, which I think was interesting. So again, it's unusual because you're also seeing them now talking about revoking what's called posse comitatus, which means allowing the United States military to actually operate inside the sovereign states, in other words, in various cities and whatever else. But they're doing it for what they call disaster relief. So the interesting thing is, what exactly do they know? We've got the swine flu scare. I'm not saying the pandemic. It's more of a scare than anything else. We've got preparations for earthquakes. We have the 2012 movie coming out in November, which is telling you that 2012 that you're all going to commit mass suicide at Chichen Itza, that it's the end of the world and the end of time, and you've got John Cusack like driving through downtown LA as the world is being destroyed, which is one of the most ridiculous previews I've ever seen. And so there are serious preparations being made. We're going to talk a little bit about throughout today. It is interesting some of the things that Barack Obama is actually doing to supposedly prepare us for a more invasive military process. So a lot of really unusual things. They know whatever's going on in 2012 is going to be a fire in the movie theater, and they know very much what. I guess what you would say what the object of political science is, and what I'm going to ask the panel here as we sort of cruise across this, the object of political science, and it's not called political theory or political I think this is going to work. Political science is the art of taking what they call a Helgian system, where you apply pressure to an organism, and you apply pressure from the left and pressure from the right. So you have on the left you've got Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and whatever else. On the right you've got the Glenn Becks and the Lou Dobbs and whatever else, and you squeeze in the center so that the mob doesn't want to go to the right or to the left, but wants to pick a point somewhere near the center. So, and the idea is to be able to create that point, create a crisis, and then manage the other side of that crisis. So it's not just about this is going to happen or that's going to happen. It's going to be what's going to happen in 2013 and 2014 and 2015, and how do you manage the other side when you know certain things are coming and certain things are going on. So the fascinating thing about the panels on Strange Universe, and the reason I kind of put the Strange Universe thing together, I had a radio show for a while called Strange Universe. I was one of the creators on a TV show on UPN called Strange Universe about, over 10 years ago, I guess. And And these are people that I respect for their spirituality, for their wisdom, for their humility, for their expertise, for their ability to see beyond a few corners, their ability to see beyond dimensions, and their ability to bring in, I guess what you would call source information, to bring in this source information into us, to be able to give us some insight, to be able to see what's going on. Because what it looks like to me is happening, and I'll put this out to the panel. What it looks like to me is happening is that not only are they trying to manage the other side of the crisis, but they're trying to figure out specifically, can we do it when we're broke, which is the one thing, I think, which is where all the economic stuff is going on. Are they trying to phase the United States into kind of a tri-phase system a la George Orwell's 1984 sort of thing? Do they understand that are all the governmental controls and all the supposed socialism and the crushing of individual rights and freedoms, is this something that they're looking towards specifically because they understand that a great new spiritual jump is about ready to happen? They're trying to pre-plan what I think is what they consider a spiritual crisis, which is spiritual, emotional, and psychological freedom, which is what's coming in the universe. I mean, that's the bad guys can't win. They've tried to put together 1,000-year Reichs, since the beginning of time. The satanic aspect of world control, as opposed to the need for humanity to be free and be left alone, in essence. So these two forces, the children of light and the children of darkness, have been sort of warring back and forth, down through time. So as we start up here, first off, let me introduce the folks on my panel here. We have at the very far left, at the end, this gentleman is a very, very talented healer. He is a person who communicates with extraterrestrial entities and beings. I don't want to say too much about him because he's going to pop off and say, "Oh, you're wrong about this and that." I've known Ron for many, many years. We've been on panels together in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Here in New York. He's always a welcome addition to everything we're doing. I've heard very, very good things about his healing techniques. He's got a very fascinating modality that you need to learn a lot more about, and he's speaking today. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce healer and, I don't want to say trans-channeler, but communicator with beings from beyond this realm. Would that be okay? All right, there you go. That's general enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Armatron. Ladies down at the end. And now, next to him, I used to give a much bigger build-up than this, but it's Saturday and I'm tired. He is the Ayatollah of spiritual rock and roll. He is the earthquaking, air conditioning, shaking, cake baking. He's the Reverend. Is all I can say. He is a wonderful, wonderful man, a fantastic person. He's got a very cute dog. Who sings and howls and accompanies him everywhere. Though his outward exterior is, how shall I say, somewhat dramatic. He is a person who has literally rubbed elbows with presidents, popes, prime ministers, princes, and kings. He is a person who has access to information. He is a fantastic psychic, a wonderful trans-channel of information, and a truly adorable person, and who smells, once again, better than any man should. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend James Capers, right here. I still think Reverend James should be in those insurance commercials. I think it's. Have you seen the insurance commercials? I think you should be in these commercials. You know the commercials I'm talking about? They have a person who sits there and says, "Yesterday I was driving my car and I was in a car accident." And I think James Capers should be there going, "Oh Lordy, I was driving my car and I don't know what to do, and the angels appeared before me and I saw the light of heaven open up and I was blinded by that light and my car ran into and a tree jumped right out in front of me. Wow!" And Geico gave me, they adjusted my claim. They came from the sky, the manna opened, and it was the miracle of Tagma with Jesus and the 2 fishes and the loaves, and lo and behold, the multitude was fed. And so I think they should be in that commercial, don't you think? No? All right.
No, I think you need to.
I'm wasting my time here.
That's not bad.
I know.
Where'd you get that Baptist side of it?
It's growing up in this. It's growing up in the South. They actually teach you in pastor school, which is what I actually trained to be at one time. They teach you to talk like this, to put a vowel at the end of everything you say, to put a vowel at the end of the word, which is why Barack Obama talks like that. I might have. Has a guy from Chicago talk like a Southern Baptist preacher, which I think is very funny. So he's got the A. You always put the A at the end of the at the end of the word. When it's like, yes, he led Moses to the mountaintop. He led Joshua to the land of Canaan. He led Gilligan off that terrible island. Because my Lord is the Lord of hosts. The next lady here is she adds charm and grace and class to the panel and to any room she graces. She is fabulously well dressed, wonderfully coiffed, and perfectly made up. She is again. You're from New Zealand, yes? Aren't you? She's from New Zealand. So from Middle Earth, we have Queen Galadriel right here with us, ladies and gentlemen, the Queen of the Elves. She is gentle, kind. She is gracious. She comes a very long way to see us again from the land of hobbits and trolls and Middle Earth and wizards and whatever else. A land where there's more sheep than people, and so she also once again is a fantastic trans-channeler. She brings information from other worlds and other realms with a grace and a beauty not often seen. Victoria of Light, ladies and gentlemen. Our next guest, this is his first time, so he's kind of a rookie. We're going to haze him a little bit, but he's kind of a rookie on rookie on the panel. He is dashingly handsome, as you can see, sort of a TV movie star type fellow. So that's the good thing about this. He is once again, he channels. I guess you could call him a sorcerer because he channels energy and information directly from source. I've heard that his classes are fantastic. That he is a riveting speaker because of the energy and information that he imparts. And once again, he's and I forgot to mention this, but Victoria is speaking in the Murray Hill dungeon at 2 p.m. And George is going to be lecturing today, actually Saturday at noon in the Chelsea Village room. So George Kazaza, I think hopefully I'm saying your name correctly, Kazaza. Ladies and gentlemen, the Trans Channel, fantastic gentleman, George Kazaza. And on my left, what I run out of adjectives when I talk about this fantastic young lady. She is she was the. Not a lot of people know this. She travels I call her Kwai Chang Shumsky because she travels the highways and byways of America. She speaks at churches all across the United States. She has, is it 6 best-selling books now? Actually, 6. She has 6 best-selling books now. She just completed another book on Ascension. She's got a book. Was it the Ascension book that you're doing, or the one on Spiritual Masters that you're actually putting together?
Ascension is the one that, it's about spiritual.
Okay, so Ascension and Spiritual Masters, which is a fantastic book of stories of people who have had actually direct contact with spiritual masters and spiritual beings all across the world. We've known each other going on, I think, about 15 years or so. We've traveled to Peru together. We've taken tours together across the world. For 30-plus years, she was the personal assistant to the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and helped him with his worldwide transcendental meditation movement all across the planet. I think she's been responsible for the transformation and the transmutation of so many people, working very humbly for many, many years behind the scenes. And again, a fantastic speaker, a wonderful writer, and a truly fantastic human being, my friend, Dr. Susan Shumsky. And probably what I'm going to get you to do, Susan, I'm going to get you to move over one if you can, so that you can both have access to the microphone, and you can snuggle up to George there. He doesn't look like he minds. And also so you can kind of be in the light. So move towards the light, so that you can see what's going on. We've also got it looks like we're going to the Kumbh Mela here. If you guys know what the Kumbh Mela is, it's a huge water festival where people jump in the Ganges, and it's going to be in Hardwar. It's Hardwar this year? It's going to be in Hardwar this year. I went to the Kumbh Mela in 1986. Not only did I jump in the Ganges, but had about 500 people die, like right in front of me when a bridge busted up there. But it's a fantastic spiritual festival. It is the largest attended spiritual festival in the world. I think the last Kumbh Mela, I think Madonna actually attended, and they had photos of it on the front page of the LA Times. 39 million people all actually getting into the Ganges. That's the entire population of Southern California trying to go to the beach on the same day. So, but it was the largest mass spiritual gathering of people actually on Earth. So let me throw this out to the panel. And what I try to do is simply just, kind of like a radio show, stimulate some conversation. And the great thing about these early morning panels is that if you don't know something about a speaker, or you would like to get to know something about what they do and what they teach, this gives you a chance to ask your own questions. I know how shy New Yorkers are, and I know how difficult it is to get an opinion out of any of you. So I like to say this morning, is anything okay? As the waiter said to the table of ladies. So it's so let me throw this out to the panel, and let me actually let me start with Reverend James. I'm going to start with Reverend James first, and then we'll just kind of throw it out back and forth. Where we'll wake up. It's time to wake up, buddy. It's time to wake up. You have a lot of access to. You've actually spoken to a lot of world leaders. You have a lot of access to what's going on. And let me ask a lot of you from your trans-channel perspective. Okay, do you think that the leadership of the world? This is a question for all of you. That the leadership of the world is cognizant and aware of the shifts and changes that are going on, Mayan calendar, astrologically, whatever else. And do you think that they are planning for it in a good way or a bad way? Is that a fair question to ask?
I love that question.
Go ahead, take it.
Well, just recently this week,
Actually, you want to stand up, James?
Okay.
Thanks. Just so you guys in the back see, all right? Usually this is supposed to be on a riser, this table, so go ahead.
Recently this week, actually about 4 days ago, I faxed the White House. And it was kind of funny because I called information and I said, can you give me the fax number to the White House? And they said, well, we have a general information number. So then I called the general information number, and I said, well, I like to fax President Obama a personal letter. And the lady says, well, we have a comment line, and there's 1-800, none of your business. So I said, ma'am, I don't want to call a 1-800 comment line. I want to fax my president. So she said, well, I'm sorry, but that number is non-accessible to the public. So I reached down in my black book, which I have about 6, and I pulled it from underneath my desk, and I opened it up, and guess what was there? The fax number to the White House. Wow. Yeah. No, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you come to one of my workshops, I might decide to channel it out. So I typed my letter up to President Obama, and it took me about 2 or 3 hours. And I said, President Obama, is it true that you are now getting information that there is going to be communication from extraterrestrials? And during the process of while you're in office, that you're going to actually contemplate about releasing some of that information, that you would have direct contact, no, not someone coming in and channeling, but direct contact, sitting at the table with an extraterrestrial. So I said to myself, oh boy, maybe I shouldn't ask that question. Because after I faxed the White House, the fax number called me back.
What? They usually send people in person, James. So,
well, they called the call actually 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Rang back, and I said hello, and of course there was nobody on the line. But they answered the question that you asked, Sean. What is going on with leaders in the world today, especially the Russian leader, Dmitry? He's
Dmitry Medvedev.
Yes, actually, I've had personal audience with him within the last 2 months.
Oh, my. What did he have to say?
Well, I don't know. He was speaking in Russian, but okay, guys, I'm playing. But let me tell you,
I had a date like that once.
I'm telepathic, so it doesn't make any difference what language that you speak, because I can understand it anyway. But my boss, who happens to be Dmitry Olovich, who's 16 $16 billion. I've been working for him since last year as his personal closer. I close deals, $64 million, $300 million deals. And basically what I do is I do psychological profiling and spiritual espionage. I see what the bottom line is, and then I just tell them. And then that cuts through all the mess at the table. Isn't that pretty good? So that's what I actually do when you don't see Dr. Capers. But anyway, what the president said, and I'm going to sit down, I'm going to make this quick so the other panel members can speak. They have actually signed a country-to-country agreement from NATO not to disclose information about extraterrestrials. So as I was standing there and I was trying to get closer and closer, and I had my little orange juice, and I was getting closer and closer to him so I could pick up, little things in his mind. And as I got close, I heard something, and this was extraordinary. And it said, I wonder what the United States has to say about our new outer space friends. And I wonder what their steps that they're going to take. Now, the agreement, the NATO agreement, everyone who's a part of NATO, signed an agreement between the nations stating that they would not disclose information about extraterrestrials based upon the fact of world panic. So that's the reasoning that they're saying. The reasoning of world panic. Well, my goodness. Are you panicking, President Obama? Are you President? We need to know. Don't you think we need to know?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to know. So are you going to panic if you get the information? So why should we have government officials tell us what we're going to do without knowing what we're going to do? So anyway, here's the bottom line. So this is what I want to bring to the table today, which is my major meat that I've been holding from you. Obama is deciding at his last term in office possibly to be releasing some of this confidential information to the public. Now, those of you who want to know more about what I have recently picked up, you got to come to my workshop because I'm not telling you right now. There you go.
Amen. Reverend James Capers, there you go. Okay, since we got on extraterrestrial disclosure, Ron, you want to take this for a minute? And since you have kind of the hotline, so once again, the kind of question that's out on the floor is a little bit about world leaders, about what they're planning, about whether or not they're aware of the presence, and or from your point of view, if there is contact or something. I mean, what would happen? What would be the occasion?
Boy. Okay. Yes, everybody has been contacted on this planet by extraterrestrials. Okay, number one. Everybody has been abducted at least once or twice a year by extraterrestrials. The people that have been abducted, we'll say 50 to maybe 100 times a year, know about it. So I'll ask for a raise of hands in here. Anybody in here know about your own contact? Okay. I see you. Okay.
A couple of people.
So that's good. So what happens is that since you talk about the governments being, connected and contacted, okay, everybody is mind controlled by the darkness of the extraterrestrials. Okay, there are good ETs. Okay, but where are they? Number one. Okay, if they were good, they'd be helping us. That's my basic thing.
Aren't they?
Okay, aren't they? Well, they gave us the atomic bomb. Okay.
Okay.
They also have every invention that has come down the pike here is from mind energy. Okay, because you think about something. The heart energy would never hurt anything. This is why I did the heart to. I'll do it right now. In fact, we'll do the mind to heart drop. But what happens is when you get your information from the mind, collective consciousness, universal mind. That's what I call the light of the darkness. It's a fabricated light that the darkness created for you, created by the extraterrestrials. Okay, and the only way to get out of that mind energy is to go to your heart. And the heart energy is in the moment. Everything is in the now with light. Anything outside of the now like in the future, is the dark side energy, which people can read because you're on a predetermined script. So, yeah, the governments, you yourself, everybody is following this conveyor belt of mind energy. The way you get out of that is to go to your heart. So I'll just do this heart-to-mind drop, then we'll have maybe a minute of silence. This is for you to connect to your own spirit. This is your only divinity that you have. It's never outside of yourself. The ETs aren't as smart as you are. They may have more technology, but as far as their divine connection, no, you have it with you. And some of the ETs even have it also, but they may have switched sides, okay? Depends where they're created. If they were created from light, then they're just like you, maybe look like you, okay? Or maybe they look like something else. Then you have the darkness of ETs that are soulless beings. So you have the soulless beings of ETs, and then you have the ones created by the light that switched over to the darkness. But I'll do this heart to mind, or the heart connection, so we're going to drop you down, okay? So I'm going to take your awakening thoughts and drop you right into your heart center. And I'll just count from 10 backwards. So this you should be doing yourself daily to get into the present moment. So here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, as you think a thought, it should come out of your heart center. You shouldn't be in your head, okay? And you're in the present moment when you're there. This is your only connection. The ETs are never going to save you, okay? It's impossible, okay? Because they would have been here yesterday, or they would have been here 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 50,000 years ago. So don't look outside of yourself for your salvation. It's always inside. This is your own spirit connection to the divine energy of Source.
Amen. Thank you, Ron. Ron Armatron, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not skipping you, but George, if you'd like to take the microphone for a second, since you're kind of new to the panel, tell us just a little bit about yourself and give us your just general viewpoint on world events and if world leaders know what's going on, or what your suggestions might be for those world leaders, what they should probably do maybe now. So give us a little background on yourself and what you do.
I do a lot of things.
Okay.
I'm a hypnotist. I'm a hypnotherapist. Well, my favorite thing, what I like to do, is bring people, my clients or groups, to the other side, to that beautiful, pure area of pure love, healing energy, to be in touch with loved ones who have passed, your spirit guides, masters. You receive messages. In that area, you can instantly heal. You can heal others in that area. That's my favorite part of what I do.
Okay.
As far as world leaders, I really don't pay attention to them.
I wish they wouldn't pay as much attention to us, actually, to tell you the truth.
But one of the reasons I'm here is to help people evolve their souls. Okay, and that's to get away from the darkness, get away from the negative. There was a bunch of comments I wanted to make on Ron's, but I don't remember everything he was saying. There was a million comments I wanted to make on that, but
he talked about extraterrestrials. He talked about they're not going to save us. He talked about their interaction with their interaction with humanity. But
yeah.
You have to comment on that. I'm more interested in your opinion on.
Well, I know.
What you think.
Well, there are life, in other places,
right?
ETs, and they have their own other sides, and we have our other sides, and they're in constant communication with one another.
Okay.
I know that when we do depart this world, and we are on the other side in that beautiful, perfect area. Some of us do not reincarnate here. We don't have to reincarnate. It's by choice. We do come here to experience the negative, to help our souls evolve. The minimum we have to do is just get through life. Of course, the max is to help as many people as you can, so they don't have to reincarnate. So they perfect their souls. Mm-hmm. And then you could be born on another planet. So it's not. Some of us here were born on other planets as well.
Do you think that what's going on Earth now has to do with that self-perfection? Has to do with all of us becoming those more perfect entities? Is this are we the smartest kids in the class or the dumbest kids in the class? Universally, I would say because it's so difficult to get through this planet with so many variations, if you will?
I'm going to say we're not the smartest and we're not the dumbest.
Okay. So you should be a politician.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if that's a compliment, but it's a...
Oh. Okay.
Now he thinks I've insulted him. All right. So, I mean, where are we at? You know, some people say that this is some people say it's a prison planet. Other people say it's Disneyland. Some people say this is Harvard or USC or Stanford, and other people say it's, you know, it's a mental institution.
Here, we're all there's kindergarten students, there's high school students, there's college students, professors, and we're all mixed together.
Right.
So we're on all different levels, and no judging, but there's an awakening now. There's you know, that consciousness is rising.
Okay.
So yeah, it's shifting.
Well, you live and work here in New York, yes?
Yes.
Are you a native New Yorker?
Yes.
What's give me a I mean, these people, in my opinion, are all exceptional. These are the smartest kids in the class because you came here especially early this morning.
We love you.
And we love you all.
Yes.
And what's your take on what the consciousness in Manhattan and New York? I mean, you know, you're going to face a lot of trials and tribulations.
Is anyone from Staten Island? Anyone? Okay, good. Well, they wouldn't come. They wouldn't come. Staten Island. If you know about Staten Island, they're not going to be here.
Okay.
But that's where I live.
But
so.
you're working with people actively here. So
yes.
My suggestion is, you've got your finger on the pulse of things happening here. How are things shifting in New York? If you, you know, how goes New York in some ways goes the rest of the country. So if you can give me the pulse of what's going on here. Are people feeling the shift here? Are they going towards something higher, or are they just kind of involved in what's going on with what they're doing?
Yes, they are. They do want to experience it. They want to raise their consciousness. Now, of course, you have a lot of skeptics. You have people that just want to say this is a physical world and mechanical, and you do your 9 to 5, you grow old, you die, that's it. There's nothing else. But, yeah, people are wakening up. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? Just real quick.
I don't know. What else could I say? There's so much. I don't know. Do I get a chance to speak again?
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. All right.
This is just your introduction.
I'm going to put one of my $6,000 suits on so I can look sharp.
There you go.
Thank you.
George
Well, you look good. You look good.
No, I don't. Not as good as you and Sean do. I'm jealous today.
This is our dress up and go to work clothes. So yeah. Susan Shumsky and Victoria, I'm saving you for last. Don't feel left out. Susan Shumsky, you've had a chance to be with these, with world leaders and talk about with your time with the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and had a chance to talk to these people. Actually, your latest book has to do with Ascended Masters, yes? Which is a fascinating book. The Ascended Masters obviously seem to care about what's going on and what's happening with world leaders. I remember years ago when I was doing research into the Billy Meyer UFO case in Switzerland, the Pleiadians who supposedly contacted Billy Meyer said, well, you're not really our first choice. We went to people, excuse me, in the government of Switzerland, and nobody wanted the job. So they found this guy who was a little one-armed, milkman, basically, and he was the only guy who was willing to take the job because he sort of didn't have anything to lose, if you will. So in your connection with spiritual masters and your interviews with people who've had connections with ascended masters, what are the ascended masters doing on the planet now to help us with whatever the transition is that's coming? Is that a fair question? Okay.
Okay. So,
speak up. Hold them
yes.
up close. Thank you. There you go.
Are the world leaders aware of what's going on? In a word, yes, they are. Have the world leaders been contacted by other dimensional beings? Yes. The Ascended Masters have been in touch with this planet and with the world leaders for a very, very long time. For example, the founding of this country was instrumental. Saint Germain was instrumental in the founding of this country. And I don't know if you're aware of Saint Germain, but he appeared at the time, just before the Declaration of Independence was about to be signed. He appeared in the room and gave a stirring speech, and as a result, all the founding fathers signed the document, and they were very afraid to sign the document. As you probably know, everyone who signed that document was either killed or all of their possessions were taken away. They all either were killed, and their families were killed, or they lost all of their possessions, all of their land, everything. So it was a very dangerous thing to do, to sign that document. But Saint Germain came and he said, sign the parchment, you know, and he was very forceful and very strong, and then he disappeared. And there was a guard at the door. No one knew how he got in or how he got out, but he was there. And the divine beings and ascended masters have been with us, guiding us in each and every moment. And they're guiding you too. And this is the time, the most important time, for us to tap into our intuition, to tap into our higher self, and to communicate with these divine beings that are helping us in this transition. And it's extremely important for us to tune in to these energies at this time, for our own well-being, for our own safety, for the safety of our family, to know where to go, where to be, where not to be, if there are certain earth changes that are taking place. And as Ron said, there's no one who's going to save you but yourself. It's really important that you tap into your true nature of being and begin to find the answers within yourself and not be dependent upon someone, some leader, some world leader, some politician, some teacher, some channeler. Find the answers within yourself, and then you'll know what to do. You'll be able to make decisions with peaceful confidence when you listen to the still small voice of God within. And that's the main thing that I do, is to help people to tap in to that inner voice. Now, as far as, different beings on different levels, I noticed that was one topic that people brought up. Basically, there are 16 kalas. The kalas are the different levels of beings that exist. And it starts from the demonic level all the way up to the celestial level. And where are human beings? We're right in the middle, about number 8. So that's the answer to that question.
There you go. Dr. Susan Shumsky. Victoria. Yeah.
I wanted to...
Go ahead. Make a comment. It's okay. You get to talk more than once.
Thank you.
Honest.
And thank you. When you were saying ETs, I was thinking of the actual ET from the movie, from the aliens. Now, as far as the ascended masters and the... Thank you. The spirit guides and ascended masters, that's when I bring people to the other side, when I bring them to that higher vibration, they're in direct communication with them. You see them, you hear them, you feel them very clearly. So you're receiving messages like this. You feel the messages, you have this awareness. And then you bring that with you. When I bring you back, you bring that with you. And every problem, let's say the biggest problems you've ever had, are now so trivial. You have this awareness, this pure love energy that you take with you, that you're now aware of, that you've always had within you. And the biggest problems are nothing. You know that this world is so temporary. We have a perfect place that we're going to when we depart this one of eternity. Blink of an eye is 100 years down here, so blink of an eye in eternity.
Right.
So that's what I do. And in my workshop, if you come to my workshop, you will experience that. I will bring everyone in the workshop to that very beautiful high area of pure love. So
I'm coming to that workshop.
There you go. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, thank you again.
Sure. And as I travel the highways and byways of this great land, like Arlo Guthrie with my guitar, I pick up little gifts for my buddy Reverend James Capers. And one of the things that I actually saw for him, which I think you'd really appreciate, occasionally for those who are into the comic book world, I think this was a perfect thing for you. I actually found Barack the Barbarian: The Search for Stimuli, and. So I saw this, and actually, and on the back it says, "Lost in the labyrinth of pundits, all new action, the quest for stimuli." And I think this is like Dick Cheney in a Conan helmet or something back here. But this is an actual series of comic books called Barack the Barbarian. I'm not even kidding, where it's all political satire about him doing whatever it is he's doing. That's actually what he looks like with his coat off, by the way, right there. So just so you guys know what you're dealing with. All right. Victoria, my darling. Now, you teach us how to recalibrate your physical, your emotional, your spiritual states of existence. Tell us about how people are being recalibrated, how their spiritual states of existence are being emotionally shifted, and how you do that, and what it is you see happening around you right now.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
First, I'd like to just give you a message of love and to continue Ron's work of taking you from the mind into the heart, and that is the time now to go from the thoughts into the energy of love. And also for Reverend Cephas, because he so wants to be in the love place, as we all do. So, and a message on this day to you all, to each and every one of you, and we are all of the same energy, we are all connected as one. The message of love today comes from Sirius, the sixth dimension of light beings. Brashta. Brekindericha. Brashambresidikrasha prekrastikian. Brashabresatatasharaha. Rarabrishimbricha. Gramergresha de Christidishimbricha. Brarashatachatarabra. Greshatabrakrashata. Bricken. Grekiachen. Rishishibrashta. A message of love. Bresinkira. Upon the earth at this time, as we all know, there are great shifts taking place. Mother Earth is transforming, is transcending, as we all are. We're all connected. We are all as one. And as Sean was saying, the earthquake drill in California, on just last week, I experienced one of the biggest earthquakes that I have experienced in New Zealand. All is shifting, all is changing. There was a tsunami warning for us, and I looked down from my apartment right on the water, an apartment that I was relocated to in 1 hour, a gift, somewhere I thought I could never be, most exquisite, beautiful place, and within an hour, God said, this is a gift for you, and I now live there. I look out at my water, 10 minutes past 10, there was a tsunami warning, and when I looked out at the water, it had been so calm, like really almost just something you'd never see, and at that moment, there were these waves that were just of a different energy, knowing that this was, there are changes here. And it was just a moment of time that you knew that this is a time of great change. This paradigm shift is all here with us. And with this, we are all changing. It is like we are all unveiling to become more pure, more divine beings here upon the earth. And you are all divine beings. You would not be sitting here. You are the intelligent, the prophetic, the ones that are more evolved, because you're here to listen and hear about strange universes. You can know that there is more. For many upon the planet, they live in a much more dense state, a much more a state of the mind, and that is where they are held. That is their experience in this lifetime. But for the ones of us, we know more. We know that there's so much more, and we are being prepared for this. And through the languages, through the energies, through the love, through the light, and just being, because we are all being worked upon every moment, because we are all held in the hand of God. And there's this immense, great, almighty plan, the divine plan, that each and every one of us are part of. And just absolutely letting go and surrendering to this, then we can just be and be of God, and each and every one of you is of God. And as far as world leaders, I think it's interesting that I am placed in New Zealand right across the water from the beehive, which is where the government centre is. And so every morning I just go out there and look on my balcony, do a little prayer and love over that beehive. My 14-year-old daughter Francesca, she was there recently for a sitting, and she came home and she said, Mummy, they were just like little children, but they were just, amazing. And that is the thing, that a lot of the leaders at this time are in a much younger place, much less evolved. So maybe they can know in their minds, but not in their hearts and their souls, of what is really happening at this time. And one last thing to say, I have a little boy, Sebastian, who's 10 years old, and just a few weeks ago he said this to me, and I want to share it with you. He said, Mummy, you do realize that this is your last lifetime on earth, don't you? He said, this is also my last lifetime here. He said, after this lifetime, Mummy, we go to paradise. He said, before this, when we've left earth, we've gone to heaven. And there we have been prepared and being prepared to return to earth, to do the earth work. But we never return here again. Now we leave and we'll go to paradise. And at that point I was like overwhelmed with this information. And I said to him, darling, can you see paradise? And I looked at him and he was looking into his third eye to look for paradise. And then after a moment he said, Mummy, I can't quite see paradise, but he said, I can feel it. And he put one hand on his heart and one on his soul, his solar plexus. He said, I can feel paradise, and it feels so amazing, Mummy, in paradise. And he had tears in his eyes. He also channels light languages, and his teacher recently said, if only the other children could spread love the way Sebastian does, what an amazing place this world would be. So God bless you all.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much. Wow. I love you, Victoria.
I'll leave her alone.
Can I actually, you know what I want? You know what I want you to do? I need some tapes so that I can listen to these to go to bed at night of you reading Winnie the Pooh. Can I get that? Can I get that? And so Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh went into the 100-acre wood. And it was Piglet's birthday, and he was very upset. And Tigger said, it's just adorable. Anyway, okay. Questions? Any of you folks out there? I know you have burning desires. You have some of the most intelligent people that I've ever seen on this panel here. That gentleman put his hand up first. Yes, sir. And I'll repeat the question for the camera and for the billions of people watching worldwide through this little device here. Does the date October 25th have any importance to you? Is it your birthday? Okay, October 25th. Everything begins to fall apart. October 25th, the Universal Thought Form. I'm just repeating your question for the tape and for the people. Yes, the Urban Survival WebBot program. I'll explain a little bit about it. Okay, all right, I think I've got your question. So, do you guys know about WebBots? Do you know about this? This is an interesting thing. These are some guys at Princeton University who put some things together. Are you familiar with the WebBot programs? What they do is these guys have become very popular on George Norrie and Coast to Coast AM, which nobody on the East Coast has even heard of. Have you guys heard of George? See, nobody out here knows because he competes with the Farm Report, I think, out here between 1 and like 5 a.m. What it is that it seems like instead of George actually putting actual psychics who actually can predict the future on his radio show, he has these scientists who actually send out what they call WebBots, which basically they look for words, vocal trends, if you will, on the web. And one of the things that they're saying, for example, if the word famine or the word plague or the word war or atomic or something, they find these things and they build patterns and they look at particular stress points. The WebBot program apparently went crazy the day before 9/11, and it's been able to predict influences, if you will, not actual events, but influences of things that will happen. So I believe I understand the gentleman's question correctly. He says that on October 25th, by the way, because it's not that I'm not a big fan of these guys, I just don't know. Did they say what particular word was being repeated for the October 25th date other than destruction or falling apart or something like that?
Actually, they said that it would be the beginning of a massive revolt against the U.S. government.
Okay. It's kind of happening. Okay. It would be the beginning of I'm just repeating your question for everybody. It would be the beginning of a revolt against Obama, kind of socialists versus Nazis or something. I don't know. Because Nazis are bad, and I can say that because I'm edgy and controversial. Could be an attack of Israel on Iran. Oh, don't get into too much detail here, but it's some kind of device. But get it.
No. No,
Gentlemen should have a long beard and a cloak and all that stuff. So
it's not going to happen, sir.
The question would be,
don't even look for it.
All right. Well, actually, let me just throw my 2 cents in here. Here's what's interesting. Here's what's going to happen between now and Christmas. Okay, what's going to happen? Remember, I was telling you about how they apply pressure to either sides of the organism, if you will, the Hegelian dialectic, as they call it in political science. What you are going to see is you're going to see they're going to, between now and Christmas, the plan is to basically just beat the snot out of Barack Obama, just bag on him. This is one of the reasons why the left, let me say, the mainstream establishment media has been given so much shift lately to Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity and the right-wing pundits, if you will. Glenn Beck was on the cover of Time and Newsweek, I think, in the last couple of weeks or so. So what they're going to do is that they plan, and I'll tell you what the plan is. The plan is, very specifically, is that they plan on just savaging Barack Obama for the next few months, basically saying he's taken a horrible train crash and just made it worse. That in essence, George Bush has engineered the greatest bank robbery in the history of the United States, and Barack Obama is just driving the getaway car for it. And that in essence that Obama is George Bush badder and blacker and is just doing all the same things. And something is going, and the plan is to make this quarter one of the worst quarters. At the end of this, you're seeing the stock market go up because the dollar's tanking. But to make this the worst quarter, to savage Obama, to basically have all this criticism loaded on Obama between now and the end of the year. Something will happen around Christmas, okay? I'm telling you, here's a prediction for you. Something around Christmas, which will be like an Obama Messiah-like miracle. Maybe Michelle gets pregnant or something. I don't know. But something occurs around Christmas time that's going to then alter a lot of this. What's then going to happen next year, and I'm going to talk about this, I have my talks in here at 1 o'clock. Next year is only 10% of the stimulus package money has been spent out of the trillions that have been printed for it. They are also literally giving money away through the Depository Trust Clearinghouse Corporation, which is over here at 55 Water Street. If you know how to file the proper forms to get into that, which I actually did this week, so I may be buying lunch for all of you guys pretty soon. But they're going to start literally, I'm not even kidding, just giving millions of dollars away of people who are going to be able to access their Treasury Direct accounts through the QSIP number on the back of your Social Security card. I know that's a little complicated, but what's going to happen then is that all this money is about ready to be spent so that 2010, you're going to see the stock market go up. You're going to see what looks like an economic miracle. You're going to see everything turn around to make Obama look like a big hero. And all they're planning on doing is getting through the 2010 election cycle. And after that, I think all hell is going to break loose. So I think you're right about the October 25th date, that that this month is when the real attacks are going to start happening, and in which you're going to see the usual left-wing media swing rather savagely towards the right, if you will, for a brief period of time, because it's going to make the turnaround that they have planned in the economy coming up February, March of next year look more dramatic, as they just dump literally billions of dollars into the economy to build things up. Also, Obama will have his JFK moment, in which he will make a call probably sometime in February to people specifically that we are going back to the moon, that we are going to start a program on Mars, and that it will not be the United States going back into space, but the world going back into space. Why? Because Lockheed Martin about a month ago was about ready to go bankrupt, and they made a deal with the Red Chinese to basically hand them our entire technological database, which means the Chinese are going to be the ones going back to space, not so much us. So I think that might answer your question a little bit as to what I think the dialectic of what they've got planned to be able to put this pressure from the right and from the left. So it's going to look, people are going to start to feel sorry for Obama, because he's just going to get so just smacked around in the press, and this will make the supposed economic miracle that they've got planned next year to trick you into whatever's going to happen in the 2010 election cycle. After 2010, all bets are off. I'm not sure there's going to be another election after that, because then the military will be integrated into everything that they're doing, and it'll be an interesting thing. Yes, sir, you had a question? The red sweatshirt. I'll repeat the question for you guys in the back.
Wrong.
So your question to the panel is, the people on the panel say trust your intuition, but your experience is that when you've trusted your intuition, things have not gone particularly right. Yeah, Susan can. Okay, so the question is trust your intuition, but how do you know what your intuition is? That's a fair question.
Right. Okay, so there's a couple different things I want to say about that. And the first thing is that How do you know whether it's your ego, whether it's your wishful thinking, whether it's some other voice, whether an entity is talking to you from the astral world? There's 4 different places that we might be receiving our messages from: the spiritual world, the mental world, the astral world, or the environment. So it's really important that we learn how to distinguish and discern between the true voice of spirit and other voices in our mind, how to test whether the messages are the real thing. And how we do that is by using what I call a 10-test system, 10 tests of spiritual discernment, which is what I teach and which is published in my books, How to Hear the Voice of God and Divine Revelation. I'm not going to teach you the 10 tests right now, but you can learn them, and it's not that difficult to learn. Now, the other thing is, it could be that you're receiving clear, intuitive messages, but then when you follow the guidance, it doesn't come out like you wanted it to. So your ego has an idea, has a picture in your mind that if you get intuition, if you get inner guidance, that it's all going to be hunky-dory and everything's going to go great, and oh yeah, I'm just going to get everything if I follow my inner guidance. But guess what? Our inner teachers, the divine aspect of our being, God within us, might have a different idea of what success is than you do. And the divine inner teachers often will guide us into experiences that we don't really like, but that assist in our highest evolution. The only thing the inner teachers want for us is our highest evolution. The only purpose of our life is to reconnect with Spirit or God or whatever you want to call it. But that is the only purpose of our life. And we will be guided into that purpose only and no other purpose by our divine master teachers.
Amen.
I like to comment on
Go
that.
ahead. Take it.
My strongest gift that I possess
Thank
is
you,
the
Susan.
gift of discernment. And that's what made me world famous. Discernment is individualized. Young man, in order for you to truly to develop a powerful discernment, is that you have to know that you know that you know 100% without doubt that the gift is yours. You see, true discernment comes by knowing that you are who you are. That when someone tells you who you are, you don't believe it. You have to know who you are and what you possess. And so when you absolutely know, and no more I think, or maybe it's true, when you absolutely know that you truly have the gift, then when you hear the voice, you know the voice. There's no in between. You absolutely know. See, biblically it says, gifts and callings are without repentance, meaning that you don't have to be a holy person to be gifted. It means that once you receive your gift, you really honestly must accept the walk of the path of it. You must walk in the true path. The power doesn't come from God. The power is given from God to you or your higher self, whoever you want to believe. But once it's yours to command and will at your own pleasure. Now, as far as talking to spirits, I do have the discernment of talking to spirits, but I do know when I'm talking to the higher self. Because even biblically speaking, it says, my sheep know my voice. And do I hear other spirits? All the time. All the time. But I know an unclean spirit like I can see a snake coming from a mile away. And the true way to get yourself validated is to come to a mentor who can help you individually develop and grow. And when you get that personal support, you know that you can get up and start to walk, and then you'll learn to run on your own. You won't need anybody else. And once you start running, you can start running for your life. Thank you.
Hallelujah. There you go. Reverend James. Ron Armatron, what do you got to say?
Okay, so this is great. So your spirit has all your answers. Your spirit does not have to have any learning experiences. It's already perfect. Okay? So you don't come here to learn about your spirit growth, the forced reincarnation is the dark side energies. Okay? You're just trapped here. But forgetting that, okay? Your spirit has all of your answers. Now you have to go into your heart to get your information. That's the number one thing. Now, where does spirit work? In the current now. So if you ask a question right now, then everybody else's energies around you will be changing, okay? Because most people are mind controlled. So then you're working with what your information was that might be right now, this second. And in 5 minutes from now, with other people's mind energies interfering with your correct information, it may not work out for you, okay? Because nobody is really heart-centered here. Okay, if everybody was heart-centered, we'd have no more wars. Everybody would be very copacetic with each other. No judgment. So what you're trying to do is to connect to your spirit. Keep going down and asking. And ask again. Your spirit will never force you to do anything, because then it would be the darkness telling you what to do. It'll give you guidance. I don't believe in higher selves, because you are it. There's nothing outside of yourself. That just dilutes you, okay? You are the connection with yourself. And that's all that you have is your spirit. And anything outside of yourself that you pray to, you become prey to what you're praying to. You're opening that door for other energies, entities to come in. If you get information inside of your head, then at that point, you are connecting to the wrong energy. You're connecting to entities, to demonic beings, to aliens, to extraterrestrials. And your spirit, when you connect with your spirit energy, ask it to see where you need to go to next. And have your spirit bring in the masters to you. Don't go say, I want to bring in Archangel Michael or bring in Jesus or bring in whoever you want to bring in. That's from your head. The dark side, I said, created the light of the darkness. This is where people go to when they have their energies, where they have a forced reincarnation, when they have a near-death experience. They're all going to the light of the darkness. There's really no other side. That's strictly the darkness energy that you go to. And it's a fabrication of light that the darkness created for you, okay? If you went to true light, you would not be here, okay? Very, very important to realize. And your spirit knows that information that I'm telling you. I don't incarnate. This is my first incarnation in 3,000 years here, okay? I don't do this incarnation. I came back for ascension, to help people ascend. I'll just talk for one more minute here, if that's okay. The Earth Spirit, a very important date, was, as the gentleman mentioned about dates here, last 4th, October 4th, the Earth Spirit pulled out of the planet. It pulled out 80% of its energy from its life form here. From the light ship, which I call creation energy, they brought in space holders to be here. Now, the Earth Spirit has to battle in, we'll say its auric field, the energies of the extraterrestrials coming here, because they're bringing in mind control energy. The Earth Spirit has to save itself first, and then it can save its creation, its spiritual blueprint of the planet Earth. People who do mind transmissions, people who bring in energies, people who maybe get involved with, like, the worst thing that ever happened here. I'll probably have some comments here on the panel instantly here. But the worst thing that happened to this planet, to humanity, was, I believe, in 1987 with the harmonic convergence. Everybody got around and meditated, and they brought in and opened up energy vortexes for the aliens that come in here. The people thought they were doing a wonderful thing from their heart center. Okay? Did the earth change? Of course. The dark side can give you a false illusion of change. But whenever you pray outside of yourself, and whenever you do group meditations where you're trying to bring in love energy, which is already here on the planet. Remember, the Earth Spirit's very powerful. It's as big as this whole planet. Okay? And so what makes you think that you can bring in a teaspoon of love here from outside, okay, from the divine source, which is already connected to the Earth Spirit? It's impossible. So all you're doing is opening up energy vortexes, stargates, and you've seen the movies. That's what they talk about. Bringing in something from outside. Everybody see the movie 10,000 BC? That's a really good movie to look at, okay? You can watch the movie They Live. Okay, that's another one. There's many movies that we have even right now about aliens coming in here. Why aren't all the alien programs that you see of divine beings coming in here? Well, hello, people. What do you think is out there? Okay? I'm sure there are some good ones, but like I said, where are they? Okay? Why do they give us a fossil fuel car? Why don't they say, hey, we have this little box here. We'll bring it down to you. It's maybe 2 inches square. It'll run your car on hydrogen. Okay? Why didn't they do that in the 1900s? They don't care. All they want to do is use you and use your emotional energy, your emotional trauma. That's what they live on. So the whole thing is get inside of yourself. So ask your spirit. Remember, the light only works in the now. There's no predictions in the light. All the predictions are from the dark side, and this is what we're running on here. Everybody here runs on the dark side energy. So we abandon spirit. Your spirit should be just as loud as the voice inside of your head if we weren't connected to the darkness of the mind energy. Remember, you're in time, and when you're not here, where are you? Okay? Because the dark side creates time, and the time is chopped up, okay? So you have to realize that you want to get into your spirit energy, and ask your spirit. If you don't have the information coming to you, then ask again. Say, I don't understand this. I can't hear the voice. I lost it. Where are you? Turn the volume up, Say, okay, I want to see my information in newsprint. I want somebody to talk to me, on the street. I want to overhear a conversation. So that's your basic question. You don't know if you're going to be getting it right or not, or maybe you get information, and all of a sudden that information is no longer valid. Well, you're running the timeline. You have to ask each moment by moment by moment.
In
that's
the
what
mention
spirit
of
is.
time, we are running out of it. So we're on
Thank
Arbitron,
you.
ladies and gentlemen. The opinions expressed by Ron Arbitron are not necessarily those of the New Life Expo or the Strange Universe panel. Or anyway, okay, yes. Questions. Who else? Oh, Victoria wanted to respond.
Yeah, sorry,
Victoria
can I
needed to
just
respond. Yes, thank you,
say
Victoria.
that I don't do time at all, and all I do is love. So I just want to bring a whole lot of love to you now, because to me there is so much love here, and every day and every moment of my day I see love. I see people weeping, being touched with love. I see healings. I see people. It's such a beautiful time, and in this time it is a time when we evolve more and more into love. And to me there is not this, where there is pure love. And you are all of love. You are all encoded with God and with love. Well, you all contain the light code in your being. And at this time, there is the awakening of this light code, of this God code, which is love. So it is the time for love. So I want to bring the love to you and know that there is so much love here. To me, there is no fear. And where there is pure love, there cannot be fear. There is all light. It is light. And so I want for each and every one of you to so know this, that it is the time of love, it is the time of light. And once again, to quote Sebastian, who's pure and white and light and love, he says, Mummy, this is the time of God and His Son, Jesus Christ, upon the earth. It is the time of love and light here. And this is what the people must come to, the love and the light. And so know this, and know this, and know this, and know this, and be this. For this is what you are, creatures of love, creation, energy. Thank you.
Amen. There we go.
My heart
Yes,
is
you
back
got your-
in place now.
You say it from right there. I can hear it. I will repeat the question for the camera for the billions on the internet and all you 12-year-olds in your basements down there. All right. Okay. Yes.
Under what circumstances do you see Americans waking up to the influences of lobbyists on Capitol Hill?
Oh, she has this question written down on a card. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Wait. It's a long question. Under what circumstances do you see Americans waking up to the influences of lobbyists on Capitol Hill?
And taking back control of our country's lawmaking process.
And taking back control of our country's lawmaking process. Yes.
And improve our quality of life.
This is a Columbia Political Science 105 class. This is not the Strange Universe panel. I have a brief opinion, but it's why are the Democrats and the Republicans becoming the same party? Why is it Socialist Party A and Socialist Party B? Why is it the Democrats will take you to hell in a handbasket and the Republicans will take you there in a shopping cart, but hell is ultimately the destination? Why does it seem as though why are we forced to become socialists, et cetera, et cetera? It's because What's happened is that when the true definition of evil is when business and companies become your government, that's when you all become nothing more than chattel. You become a resource. You become like oil, you become like gold, you become like silver. The minute you become a human resource, that they used to call that a little something different in the South. They called it slavery. And human resources is, again, are you a human resource? You are chattel to be bought and sold is the bottom line. And for those people that I teach as far as the politics and how to get free and how to get out of this stuff, and I speak to black churches look, black folks get it. And the reason they get it, because they never ended slavery in this country. They said, ooh, that's neat. Show us how to do that to everybody. And that's exactly what they did. That's what they did with the 14th Amendment. That's what they did with, whatever's going on. And as far as the lobbyists go, they've won a long time ago, because what we have now is we don't have government, we have a corporatocracy. And when you have a corporatocracy, you want to explain everything that's going on as far as free trade and as far as knocking down barriers and this and that and the other thing. When the world becomes, here you go. You want to know your homework? Go rent the movie Network and go see Network and listen to the speech that Ned Beatty gives as Arthur Jensen, who is the head of the network, when Howard Beale stops a deal between the Saudi Arabians and the network and this is 1974 when Patty Chayefsky did this, and he yells at Howard Beale and he says, "You're an old man who gets up on your 21-inch screens and howls about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is no East. There is no West. There are no Russians. There is only DuPont, IBM, Union Carbide, and Exxon. These are the nations of the world today, Mr. Beale. The world is a business, and it has been since man crawled out of the slime." That's an exact quote, by the way, from that.
Who has the money has the power.
Yeah, it's them that's got the gold, makes the rules. And what they're planning now is to say, yeah, there's going to be a great spiritual enlightenment. Yes, 2012 is coming. They're all telling you it's the end of the world and the end of time. You know why? Because we look at time differently, because we're moving into a fifth dimensional time space, height, width, breadth, a linear measurement of time, and the fifth dimension is will and imagination, that which we think becoming physical reality. And that's the whole purpose of this. And what they're trying to do is they're going to say, yeah, you guys want to be enlightened, you guys want to experience Godhead, you guys want to ascend, you can do it when you're broke. How about that? You can do it when you're living in your mom's garage. How about that? You can do it without a car, you can do it without a house, you can do it without a job. See how well you do then. And you see the fear that they're creating. And what's now happening is they've shifted from the terrorism Arab sort of fear to now making you afraid of the economy, like it's some terrorist out there. And at the same time, the perfect way to divide and conquer anybody is you introduce a plague, a disease, if you will. So I didn't mean to pop off on this whole thing. I was just saying that the corporatocracy of this is that if you simply look at how do you increase your bottom line, thank you, how do you increase your bottom line, how do you maximize profits, and the way you do that is you destroy the sovereignty of nations, you destroy the culture of nations, and you destroy any barrier that keeps the natural flow of money going from one place to another. And now, instead of this being a global, worldwide conspiracy where 600 of the wealthiest people all meet, the Bilderberg conference that most of you have heard of every year, it's basically, look, if I had $1 trillion, with all politeness, I probably wouldn't be hanging out with all you people. I'd be hanging out with other people with $1 trillion. And if you all had $1 trillion and we all got together, this is a funny story. Bill Gates, about 5 years ago, went to the Bilderberg conference, and I think it was in Germany somewhere. And Bill Gates is strutting around going, well, I'm one of the wealthiest men in the world. I own Microsoft. He runs into a guy who goes, really? I own France. And Bill Gates went once and realized he didn't have enough money to hang out with these people. Why? Because if you and I had $1 trillion, we would conspire or breathe together to figure out, how do we make another $1 trillion? How do we, we've got a flock of sheep. How do we fleece the sheep better? The one thing that you've seen as the shift is the shift between the Bush, Clinton, Rockefeller crime syndicate, because they're all part of the same gang. Clinton's a Rockefeller, Hillary's all up in that, and the bottom line was they wanted to bring their, quote, New World Order through terrorism, through war, and the Rothschilds, on the other hand, said, look, that gets out of the box too easily. In other words, when you have people shooting guns at each other, it's too hard to stop. And when Barack Obama comes up, he is the Rothschilds' ascendant, and he is George Soros's creation. George Soros is a Rothschild from way, way back, and the Rothschilds are going to build you a nice little prison cell, but it's going to have a blanket and a pillow. It's going to have health care. It's going to say, now we're going to introduce it. And you know what they've said, in essence? They said, look, the sheep are so dumb, we can do anything we want. We don't have to explain it. We don't have to blow up buildings. We don't have to go to war. We don't even have to blow up ships for an excuse to war. We're just going to do it. we're going to draw a line in the sand and say, well, Saddam Hussein, you have non-existent weapons of mass destruction, and we're going to go to war with you if you don't show us the stuff you don't have. And in the case of Barack Obama, his big war is going to be Afghanistan. Why? Because they have to keep the flow of heroin coming out of Afghanistan. That's the bottom line. Oh yeah, yeah.
6 to 8 months.
2 days into his administration, Barack Obama attacked Pakistan. We've got 40,000 more troops going to Afghanistan, with possibly another 60,000 more. You watch. Afghanistan is going to be his war. And you know why they need Afghanistan? They need Afghanistan for the flow of opium and the flow of heroin. Afghanistan is the graveyard of empires. It destroyed Great Britain, it destroyed the Soviet Union, and it's about ready to destroy the United States. Notice, if you will, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in 1980, and 9 years later, the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Empire collapsed. When did the United States go into Afghanistan? When did we invade Afghanistan? Come on. 2001. What are we coming up on? 9 years later. Exactly. And 9 years later, 2010, you're going to see the same thing happen. Russia had a very, very linear economy. It was very easy to implode. And what was the last thing we did to the Russians to collapse the empire? We flooded it with their own money. We flooded it with rubles, counterfeit rubles, which collapsed the empire, hyperinflation. What's going on now? They're about ready to flood your economy with Federal Reserve notes, with your own money. And that's the whole plan of the stimulus package and everything else, to throw money at this. And you will see the United States begin to break up. And you'll see it break up into probably 6 sections first, and then 13 sections after that, which I think is a good thing. But it's the corporatocracy that you're talking about. Anybody else have comments on this? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hop up and down and be it's just when, the leprechauns get upset when somebody's threatening our pot of gold, we jump up and down and get very angry. If you're messing with Father Flanagan in the Chicago Archdiocese, you're going to be talking to me, I'm telling you. Go ahead, take it.
So that's all mind energy. See, what we've been talking about is mind energy.
Okay, Ron, hold on 1 second. I got to take a couple more questions because we've only got 10 minutes left. Yes, sir, the very wise-looking gentleman in the back. Yes, sir. I don't want to make this into a political diatribe. What constitutional rights have been taken away? The bottom line is none of you have ever had constitutional rights. None of you. Because you're 14th Amendment citizens, which means you come under the United States Code, not under the Constitution. Is Barack Obama an actual citizen of the United States? He doesn't have to be, because he's the CEO of the corporation, which means he doesn't come under. He never took the Article 6 oath. He took the Article 2 oath, and no president in the history of the United States has actually taken an oath to the United States of America. They've taken an oath to the United States, which means you guys come under the USC Code, the United States Code, which is a whole different thing. And if you want to revoke your 14th Amendment citizenship, there's a way to do it and get your passport as an American national, not as a U.S. citizen, somebody who was not born in federal territory, which is 10 square miles of Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, American Samoa, Guam, American Virgin Islands, and military bases and post offices. If you're not born there, you are foreign, non-domestic to the United States. And there is a way to do it, but it's hard because you have to revoke your Social Security card, which is Form 521. You have to put fiduciary responsibility forms into the IRS, which is 2 Form 56s, making Timothy Geithner the debtor as the Secretary of the Treasury, and making Rosa Gamatau Rios, the Treasurer of the United States, the creditor, and then you have to file a W-8-BEN, which has your foreign non-domestic status in the United States, and then you're done. Then you have constitutional rights. Does that sound easy enough for you? Sir, question. Yes.
With all the things that we see coming up, I would like just some practical advice of what we can do in just our daily lives that's not based in fear, but can be practical. Like, should we be storing up rice in our cupboard?
Perfect. Okay, let me show this out. George, actually, come on, stand up, buddy. Stand up. I'm going to actually get you to answer that question. What are some practical things that we can do? You're a New Yorker. You live here. You speak to this on a daily basis. You work to this. Do you have practical spiritual advice? How do we dodge each bullet, I guess, is the best way to put it. And we have like 5 minutes left, so we'll wrap this.
Spiritually or storing rice?
Either one. Actually, what I'd like you to do is give me a parting shot, give me a little wrap up, because we've got about 5 minutes left here, and I want each person to have their last final say.
Okay. Well, what I like to teach is how to evolve your soul. And it could be 5 minutes a day, and you have tremendous benefits across the board your entire life, just 5 minutes a day. And I'll be showing you some of that at the workshop today at 1 o'clock.
Fantastic.
The Village Room.
Yes, George is in the Village Room at 1 o'clock. Susan, take it.
So tomorrow I'll be doing 2 things, and if you don't have the flyer, there'll be some in the back of the room when we're done.
I'll make sure I
But-
mention all this stuff. Give me your. I'll mention all the stuff for you. I'll help promote you. What do you got?
Okay. So I'll be doing How to Hear the Voice of God at 3 p.m. In the Sutton Room tomorrow, and Breakthrough to Spirit at 5 p.m. in the Village Room. And mainly what I help people to do is to break through to Spirit, to learn how to listen to that divine voice, which is the true nature of our being, to be able to connect with Spirit, to be able to have direct mystical experiences of God. And that's what we're going to do in our workshop, is have that beauteous experience of the presence of God, which is so profound and so meaningful. And it's like coming back home to the comfort, to the safe haven, to that place of perfect peace, the indwelling Spirit. And that's what I teach. That's what I help people to do. And if we can learn to do that on a daily basis, there is no fear. We live in peace. It doesn't matter the outer circumstances. We're in peace. We live in that presence, that power, that glory of God.
There you go. Actually, I'm going to jump around a little bit here. Ron, give me about a minute worth of practical information for people of what they can do now to prepare for what's going on.
Just get that one book. One book says "Go Within," one page, and that's the whole thing. Be guided moment by moment by moment, and don't get caught in mind energy. That's the whole thing.
A man of few words, Ron Armatron, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Wow.
I'll be at the ARE Center
Cool.
doing workshops and also here today.
Well, I'll promote all you guys at the end here.
Okay, great.
Victoria of Light, my darling. Take it away. What do we need to know? What is higher spirit? What are the entities? See, I told you she's Queen Galadriel. Isn't she wonderful? Go ahead, take it.
It is just, a time to remember who you are, to know that you are divine and that you are this person and this being of love here on the earth. And just always be in that and keep bringing yourself into that. And just, less and less of any thinking or thoughts or being caught up in the dramas. I find every day that I'm saying to my clients, to the people around me, just rise up and be aligned with the higher energies, with the God energy, with the divine energy, and do not be caught up in the lower vibrational dramas and that what is happening, on that other side where it is driven by fear. So just be in that higher place, in that love place, and just continuously just being in that. And if you are, then it's like it is peaceful and it is beautiful. And in this too, I would just like to say a little message to you. This is our kind of goodbye for this moment.
Okay.
So just lots of love to you all, and just know that you are the love, and a little message of love. Love and peace to you all.
Amen. Hallelujah. There you go. And Winnie the Pooh got the honey jar off of his nose, and he had a piece of Tigger's birthday cake, and he slept like a happy bear should. The end. Reverend James, take it away. One last thing. We got it. We're running out of time here. Take it away. Reverend James.
Real quick.
Last final word here. Give me a minute.
I just want to say that I think it's beautiful that many of the mentors are helping you, guiding you, and leading you on your path and giving you strength. But those of you who don't went to hundreds of workshops and thousands of lectures and still haven't found it and just simply want to get fixed, I do that. I'm a doctor practitioner. I'm the one who will clear your chakras, who will clear your auras, who has the ability to clear your past, present, and future karma. So if you want to say, I'm done, come see me in booth 218 and come to my workshops, because I plan on, for those of you who are just tired and want it finished, today is your day, because that's what I do. Have a wonderful day.
Amen. And my part in shop for this whole thing is, let me quote the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama said that the spirit of competition, of fear, of hatred, of anger exists within ourselves. There can be no peace in the world until there is peace and compassion and love within ourselves. If you want to, then let me give you a little bit of Pete Carroll, USC kind of smug hippie wisdom from the left coast of California. Part of what we teach our football players at USC, and you'll see them beat up Notre Dame today, is it's not about them. It's never about them. It's all about you. It's all about your responsibility. How can you be the best you can be? How can you compete to be on top? How can you personally, because there's not a single thing that you can do. You can't think another person's thoughts. You can't feel another person's feelings. You ultimately have no control over anyone or anything else in the world except you. And in the end, it's not about the competition. It's not about the other guy. Yeah. It's always about what you can be, how you can be excellent, how you can be fantastic, and how you can be the very best person that you can be and be stupendous. And that's the key to victory in all of this. It's a strange universe, and we just work here. Thanks for coming. I'll see you at 1 o'clock. Susan Shumsky's at, okay, all the things.